Do you ever feel lonely, even when surrounded by people? In this video, we'll explain 6 fascinating things you didn't know about loneliness through the lens of Stoic philosophy. 1. Being alone can hurt your health. When we're feeling bad emotionally, like when we're lonely, our bodies react in different ways. For example, being lonely all the time can make you feel stressed all the time, which raises your amounts of the stress hormone cortisol. Over time, having too much cortisol can lead to many health issues, such as heart disease, trouble sleeping, stomach problems, and a weaker immune system. It's possible that people who feel lonely are more likely to do bad things to deal with their feelings, like eating poorly, not exercising, or abusing drugs. One way to do this is to be more aware. Being mindful keeps us in the present and involved in our lives, so that we don't get lost in loneliness. People can watch their thoughts and feelings without judging them, which helps them understand how they're feeling. For people who are lonely, this can be especially helpful because it lets them recognize their feelings without being swamped by them. Having good relationships is a Stoic habit that can help you deal with loneliness. Being alone doesn't always mean feeling lonely, but having important relationships with other people can give you a sense of support and belonging that can help you deal with loneliness. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said, "The key is to spend time only with people who make you feel good and bring out your best." Accepting what we can't change is an important lesson that we can learn from Stoicism. This doesn't mean we have to accept that being lonely is a normal part of life. When we accept that we are lonely, we stop trying to change those feelings and start focusing on the things we can change, like how we react to them and how we live our lives. Stoicism tells us to give our lives purpose and value. Finding your meaning in life can give you direction and drive, which can help you deal with loneliness. We can feel more connected and fulfilled when we find something that gives our life value. This could be through our work, our hobbies, or our relationships. Being lonely can be very bad for our health, but if we follow the lessons of Stoicism, we can find strength in being alone, connect with others more deeply, and develop inner peace and strength. 2. It's not always true that being alone makes you feel lonely. Often, people think that being alone means they are lonely, but it's important to know that silence and loneliness are not the same thing. Stoicism tells us that being by ourselves can make us strong, smart, and at peace with ourselves. It's important to know the difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone is what solitude means, while loneliness is the feeling of being cut off or alone. You can be with a lot of people and still feel lonely, or you can be by yourself and be happy. Stoicism tells us to enjoy being alone and not see it as a punishment, but as a chance to learn more about ourselves and grow. A famous Stoic philosopher named Seneca often talked about how important it is to be alone to think and observe. He thought that being alone helped him get in touch with his inner self, look at his feelings and thoughts, and learn more about his beliefs and values. Being by ourselves can also give us the space we need to improve our ability to think creatively and solve problems. When we're around other people all the time, we can depend on their opinions and approval. We have to accept our own thoughts and judgments when we're by ourselves, though. Some people feel more confident and free when they do this. It's important to have the right attitude about being alone. Instead of seeing it as a punishment or a failure, try to see it as a chance to learn more about yourself and grow. Remember that it's not about being alone. It's about accepting the chance to think and reflect on oneself that being alone gives you. Do something useful with your time alone. Do things that make you happy, that push you, or that make you feel calm. This could be anything, like reading, writing, drawing, meditating, or just going for a walk outside. You should use your time alone to get to know yourself. Think about and feel what you're feeling and grow your inner knowledge. Remember that being alone can be good, but it's also important to keep things in balance. People are social animals that need to connect and associate with others in order to survive. So it's good to enjoy being alone sometimes, but it's also important to find people to talk to when you need to. 3. Loneliness can spread to other people. Emotional contagion is when you feel other people's feelings and carry them with you. We may unintentionally share our loneliness with those around us when we're feeling down. This can happen with the way we move, talk, or even the words we use. For instance, if we're feeling alone and lonely, we might push other people away without meaning to, which keeps us alone. When we're negative or critical, we might pull away from social relationships or act in a way that makes others feel uncomfortable or even lonely. From a Stoic point of view, emotional contagion shows how important it is to be responsible for your actions and aware of the present moment. Stoicism tells us that we can't change how other people feel, but we can change how we react and what we do. This doesn't mean hiding how we feel or acting like everything is fine when it's not. It's more about recognizing our feelings, figuring out how they affect us, and then deciding how to deal with them. We can listen twice as much as we talk because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We can keep our feelings of loneliness from hurting other people by listening more and speaking more carefully. Being mindful helps us be in the present moment and understand how we feel. Being aware of our feelings of loneliness can keep them from affecting how we connect with other people without our knowledge. To have empathy, you need to understand and share other people's thoughts. Being more empathetic helps us see how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors might be affecting the people around us. Being thankful helps us value what we have instead of dwelling on what we don't have. Practicing thanks can help us stop thinking about how lonely we are and start thinking about the good things in our lives. If your feelings of loneliness are too strong or don't go away, it might help to get professional help. A therapist or counselor can help you deal with your feelings of loneliness by giving you advice and support. Don't forget that it's okay to be lonely. It's normal to feel that way, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. But if we know how our feelings affect other people and take steps to control them, we can stop loneliness from growing and instead build a sense of community and connection. 4. A lot of people are feeling lonely. Being lonely is something that everyone goes through, across countries, cultures, and age groups. It's easy to think that we're the only ones having a hard time, but a lot of other people are too. This discovery can be both reassuring and hard. It makes us feel better because it shows us we're not the only ones going through this, but it's also hard because it makes us realize how important it is to understand and empathize with others. Stoicism shows us how important it is to understand and care about other people. It helps us remember that we're all linked and part of a bigger picture. Stoicism is based on the idea that everything is connected, and this idea is a strong way to fight loneliness. Sometimes it helps to know that other people are going through the same things we are, because it makes us feel less alone. Stoicism also shows us how important it is to be part of a group. As social beings, we need to connect with others and feel like we belong. Not only do we need each other to stay alive, but we also need each other to feel good. In other words, if you're feeling lonely, know that you're not the only one. There are people who care about you, understand, and are there to help you. Reaching out to other people is one way to fight loneliness. One easy way to do this is to talk to a friend or family member, join a neighborhood group, or do volunteer work. It's about making chances for people to meet and feel like they belong. Remember that the quality of your connections is more important than the number of them. It's about making relationships that matter, not just ones that seem superficial. Being alone can make you feel inadequate or blame yourself. But as Stoics, we think that loving and accepting yourself can change things. Remember that just because you feel lonely doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It's a normal part of being human. So, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and remember that you deserve to connect with others and feel like you belong. 5. Being alone can have an effect on your mental health. Being lonely isn't just a feeling that goes away. It's a mental state that can have a big effect on our health. Feeling alone, disconnected, and empty can cause a lot of mental health problems if you don't do anything about it. Let's learn more about this subject and look at how Stoicism can help us get through these tough times. It's important to know that being lonely doesn't say anything about our worth or our ability to connect with others. It's a feeling, and all feelings are temporary and different for everyone. One of the most important ideas in Stoicism is that our feelings are not facts, but rather thoughts that we can cling to or push away. Feelings of depression and worry can come from being alone. It can make us doubt our worth, our meaning, and our place in the world. But as Stoics, we believe in the strength of being strong and in being able to find peace within yourself even when things are hard. Stoicism tells us that we are in charge of our thoughts and feelings. We may not always be able to change the things that make us feel lonely, but we can change how we deal with these feelings. We don't have to let them consume us. Instead, we can choose to interact with them, learn from them, and explore them. Mindfulness is one way to fight the effects of loneliness on mental health. It's important to be mindful not to get lost in our thoughts and feelings, but to stay in the moment and involved with our lives. It's about being aware of our loneliness without judging it, and then picking how to deal with it. Knowing how to be mindful can help us stay in the present moment and not get lost in loneliness. It can help us enjoy the little things that bring us joy and closeness instead of dwelling on what we don't have. In addition, it can help us find inner peace and strength, even when things go wrong. Being grateful is another Stoic habit that can help fight the effects of loneliness on mental health. Being grateful means focused on what we do have instead of what we don't have. It's about seeing the good and beautiful things in our lives, even when we're sad. Being thankful can change the way we see things and make us see our lives in a better light. Focusing on the relationships we do have instead of the ones we don't can help us value the ones we do have. Plus, it can help us find peace and happiness inside, even when we're feeling lonely. Stoicism also teaches us how important it is to build good relationships. We are social beings who need to connect with others and have company. But it's not enough to just have relationships. You need to have healthy, meaningful interactions. Having good relationships can help your mental health when you're feeling lonely. It may make us feel linked, cared for, and important. It can make us feel like we fit and give our lives meaning. And it can help us find peace within ourselves and be strong. But what if we feel lonely even though we have friends and family? Stoicism tells us that it's more important to have good relationships than lots of them. Instead of just having a lot of links, it's about making connections that matter and are good. We can fight the effects of loneliness on our mental health by being more aware, thankful, and building good relationships. We can connect with others, have a purpose, and be at peace with ourselves even when we feel alone. 6. It's important to find ways to fight loneliness. Even though loneliness can be overwhelming, it's important to know that there are ways to deal with it. There are many techniques in Stoicism that can help us deal with feelings of loneliness and find peace and connection. It's about being fully present in the present moment without judging it. When we're sad or lonely, our thoughts often go to the past or the future and what we don't have or what we've lost. Being mindful helps us stay in the present, which lets us fully enjoy our lives and the little times of happiness and connection. It's about recognizing that we're lonely without letting it take over our lives. Our only choice is the present moment, which also opens the way to all other moments. Being thankful is a strong way to fight loneliness. It changes our attention from what we don't have to what we do. When we're lonely, it's simple to get stuck in feelings of not having enough and being alone. We can value the relationships we do have, even if they seem small or unimportant, if we learn to be thankful for them. We can be thankful for a stranger's kindness, the beauty of nature, or a pet's comfort. A smart person doesn't lament the things they don't have, but is happy about the ones they do. Getting involved in good relationships is one of the best ways to fight loneliness. This doesn't always mean having a lot of friends, but it does mean having deep ties with other people. Stoicism shows us how important it is to be kind, respectful, and understanding to other people. In this way, we can help people feel like they belong and are connected. Remember that it's not how many ties you have, but how good they are. One of the most beautiful things about real friendship is being able to understand each other. Doing things that are important to us and make us happy can also help us fight loneliness. If you want to do this, You could donate, join a club, work on a hobby, or even learn something new. It's important to do things that are in line with our values and give us a feeling of purpose. Don't argue anymore about what a good man should be like. Be one. No matter how hard we try, loneliness can sometimes be too much to handle. That's why it's important to get help from a professional. This could come in the form of support groups, therapy, or coaching. Remember that getting help is a sign of power, not weakness. It's about being responsible for our own health and doing what we need to do to feel connected and at peace. When we're lonely, we might think there's something wrong with us, but it's important to remember that everyone feels the same way. It's fine to feel lonely and to look for comfort and help. Epictetus said, "Be gentle with yourself. Learn to love yourself, to forgive yourself, for only as we have the right attitude toward ourselves can we have the right attitude toward others." Through following the lessons of Stoicism, we can find inner peace, strength, and connection, all of which can help us deal with feelings of loneliness.